Hello, I'm Simulator Dirk, and welcome back to Train Simulator. We're going in more familiar territory today. We are an electric train driver, and we are in Scotland. We're on the Glasgow Suburban Network. We're at Springburn, platform number 3. Let's get our lights on, and let's get into the cab. We'll load and unload our passengers. Turn this around, we'll have a look. So we're on ScotRail on an electric multiple unit. I have driven this train once before. I had some audio issues, so I couldn't save the episode. But it's a nice train to drive. Let's get in and let's get set up. And let's get ready to depart. Passengers have now boarded. Okay, we're right to go. Okay, so brakes off, power on, and let's begin. So 15 mile an hour limit to start with. Now, one thing that I did notice on the episode that didn't record is that the normal shortcut of opening and closing the doors didn't necessarily work. So I had to open and close the doors using the cab controls, which are in front of me. So Barnhill Platform 1 is our first stop. We're all stations today. So it's a lovely system in terms of graphics and trains. I have ridden on some suburban trains in Glasgow. I absolutely loved Glasgow. It was a great place. I was there a few years ago. There's our station already. So we're a 3-car train, so we're looking for the 3-car marker. And this just is not stopping. Now it decides it wants to stop. And I was in full service for ages. So we'll have to do it this way. Oops. So there's the back of our train. We're going to Dumbarton Central via Yoka. And we'll get back in the cab. Brakes off, power on. So just over a mile before our next station, Alexandria Parade. Now I'm going to have to watch those brakes because they certainly took their sweet time in coming on. So we'll just shut off there at about 35 miles an hour in a 40 zone. Horn through the tunnel. Now we should start seeing the station soon, but we've got another tunnel to go through first, according to the map at the bottom of the screen. So we'll just put a little bit of brake on. we are going a bit too hot at this stage. The brakes don't really seem to grab, do they? I didn't want to go into emergency. And then we leave the tunnel and we go downhill a bit. See, we're in step 2 of braking, and it only seems to take effect when you're in full service, which is not something that I noticed last time I drove this particular train. That's a little better, though we're coming in not as hot. So we're a 3-car train. Our 3-car marker in this instance is probably down near the stairs. Yeah, right at the end of the platform. 3 or 6-car trains. Now I just need to get used to the braking on this train. So there's the front of our train. Our doors are open. The 320 class, pardon me, electric multiple unit. So we'll get back in the cab. I don't like these instructions after every stop. Alright, let's see how we go this time. Under half a mile, so the station should come into view relatively quickly. In reality, you'd probably just max power to this bridge, and then when you see the station start to brake, that's probably what you'd be doing in reality. That was a little better. I didn't have to go into full service that time, although then again the speed wasn't as high. That beep's just reminding me that the next signal, which we can see in front of us, is showing a proceed indication. There's our 3 and our 6 car mark. So driver operates and closes the doors, and they pull up and they've got a banker monitors, which is hard to see in that shot. Maybe I needed to be up just a smidge more. So this is Duke Street. Alright, back in the cab. Bit of horn. And let's go. Just on half a mile to Belgrove. Go for a couple of small tunnels first, and then a 30-mile-an-hour section. So, oh no, we're at a 30-mile. No, we're coming up to the 30-mile-an-hour section now. So, I shouldn't have got excited, but I did. So it looks like we're joining another line here. So this is Belgrave. Train's coming up nicely now. One thing that does get me a little bit on the UK, the routes, that sort of thing, is that they operate in miles per hour, and so I basically know the conversion speed, but it does do my head in a little bit to try and actually get the speeds correct. Alright, so we'll open and close our doors. And we'll look at our platform again, because that's what I like to do. Other side this time, so we're a little bit short of the monitors there. Alright, let's get in the cab. Not sure. Yeah, okay. High Street coming up, not High Street Kensington or High Street Maitland. So there's certainly quite a few possibilities with this particular package of lines. Certainly a lot of the Glasgow railways to explore. And this is High Street. High Street next. Now I want to try and get the positioning right. I think I have to have my shoulder in line with the car marker, which isn't easy to do in these sort of simulations. So I'm in line with the car marker. F4 screen cappy. So we'll get in the cab. Doors confirmed closed. Put our HUD back on. Brakes off. Power up. Glasgow Queen Street next. In half a mile, 40 mile an hour speed limit. Mainly in tunnels, so you're not delaying traffic on the surface of Glasgow. As I mentioned before, absolutely love Glasgow. I was there in, I think it was 2014. I was actually there for the last day of location shooting of the Brad Pitt zombie movie World War Z, or World War Z if you prefer. And the funny thing is, I have never watched that movie despite being on location for the final day of location shooting. I didn't even obviously know that it was on or that it was happening, but I was just exploring downtown Glasgow and half of it was blocked off. Half of it was blocked off, and there was all these American-looking cars and people, and people in like police uniforms and that sort of stuff. And I found out by talking to a few people. I found out by talking to a few people that yeah, they're actually filming on location World War Z, and it was actually cheaper. It was actually cheaper for them and easier to ship all the cast and crew, over and all the vehicles and whatnot. It was easier to do all that than what it was to do it in America, because apparently there was a fair contribution by organisations to do with Glasgow that enabled them to to allow all that sort of assistance to happen, like local government and that sort of stuff, the Scottish Parliament, etc. probably. But it was cheaper and easier. I think it was Philadelphia from memory. That it was set in. And so they made the streets of Glasgow look like the streets of Philadelphia. And some of it would have been computer generated and green screen and all of that sort of stuff, but if I was into that type of movie, I probably would have watched it by now, but I'm not into zombie movies and whatnot. Shaun of the Dead's probably the ultimate exception to that rule. Although that's partly comedy as well. And of course, the people behind Hot Fuzz. Come on, pull up. Pull up. I gave you full service ages ago. It looks like we're going to be sweet. I don't like pulling up in full service, but here we go. Charing Cross, platform 2. Bless you. Should go get yourself tested. See, I read that as Patrick when I did the scenario, or when I did a similar scenario before. But it's probably Partik. So, lots of tunnel in the inner city section, as you could possibly expect. 40 miles an hour. Not a lot to see at the moment. So, World War Z, if you've seen it, or if, zombie movies interest you, it's interesting to think that that a lot of the location stuff wasn't filmed where you might think it was. Now, fairly feels like we're moving because we're in a tunnel section. Haven't really got any reference points because it's all pretty dark. But nearly 40 miles an hour. And we've actually got about a kilometre to go. So we'll just run like this for a minute. So there's our train. Rapidly seems to be slowing down. Or they're doing 35 miles an hour and it looks like it's slowing down. Okay, station coming up in just over half a mile. I'm just coasting at this point. We should see the station shortly. Another reminder of a green signal coming up. Okay, it is very difficult when you haven't driven this map before, or in my case I've only driven it once, to see where the actual station is. I think it's just around the corner. Starting to come into view now. So I'll put some brake on. That really slowed up well in one notch of brake compared to some of the other times. See, that's coming in nicely with just one notch of brake. Must say the stations are rather nicely done. So we're not that far away from the monitors. Of course, we probably should be a little closer than what we actually are, but here we are. Another train arriving. So that's a 6-car unit coming in. Alright, Highland next. That's in just under a mile. So with these sort of systems, stations very close together, there's a lot of let's go and then let's stop in very quick succession. When in reality it's probably close to 80 kilometres an hour. You know, it's every couple of minutes you're stopping. It's a big difference between doing this sort of driving and doing inner city or regional type of driving. Station coming up shortly. I'm just happy just to coast in at this stage. Okay, got some visual on the station now. We'll just go to step 1 or brake 1. So we've reduced our speed sufficiently. So on this occasion our 3-car marker is a bit shorter than the 6-car marker. And in reality, that's why on train monitors can be better, because if you don't pull up at exactly the right spot, Jordan Hill next. If you don't pull up at exactly the right spot, you're not seeing anything. Alright, Jordan Hill next, in just under half a mile. There's a 50 mile an hour speedboard just before the platform. That won't matter for us just yet. It'll be a little bit better when we leave Jordan Hill rather than when we arrive. There's our 3-car marker. Now the interesting thing on this occasion is that there is no cameras or no monitors near the 3-car mark, but there is near the 6-car mark, whereas at the previous station it was the other way around. Maybe on this occasion they expect the driver to stick his head out and have a look. Okay, train arriving in the other direction, bit of horn. Just over a mile. Scott's Tornhill, I think, is the way you say the next station. We'll shut off shortly. 50 mile an hour, there we go. We'll shut off now and we'll just roll in. Now in reality you'd have braking markers in mind, which might be this bridge, might be when you see the station, might be when you see the floodlights for that stadium. Just depends on what markers you've got available. You know, it might be when you hear that beep or this signal or the bridge that's coming up. You know, and that takes a lot of learning where all your different braking and powering markers are on the network, and sometimes it depends on if you are driving express or you're driving all stations, you're driving a 3-car in this case, or a 6-car. You know, it might be totally the same. You know, in many instances, the speed limit in some ways is a bit academic sometimes, because sometimes you never actually reach the speed boards. Yes, you have to know, just a bit short. Yes, you have to know where they are, and you have to know what they are. But in running like this, especially if they're higher speed, like if they're 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, or the equivalent in kilometres per hour, you might not actually reach them because you're stopping all stations. brakes off, power on, bit of horn for my own amusement, if anything. And these trains are built for quick acceleration, quick braking. Quick acceleration, quick braking. See the platform already, so probably shut off here and then start to brake. And then you can always come back a notch, or you can take them off. But that can be fraught with dangers depending on where you are and how much room you have to play with. Because you run the risk like that, how they didn't come back on as quick as they should have, and I've made a terrible mess. Terrible mess of that. Have I got any of the train on? I'm off. The front car's off. Let's see. How's the back end of the train? Oh, well, that's on. And that's on, but the doors are closed. Maybe it's got selective door opening. Or there's an overshoot function. That stop was not very good. I thought that I was doing okay, and the brakes lately been good, where as you apply 1 or 2 steps and it's been okay, and they just didn't want to come back on. And sometimes that's the risk you run, coming into a station hot, thinking you've got it under control, so you take the brakes off, and then, spoiler alert, you don't have control of it, and you end up with a car off the platform. So this is dropping speed nicely now. So station's around the corner. Didn't want to come in as hot as I did at the previous station. Yeah, that's better. And there's the 3-car mark. That's better. Again, it can be deceptive from the cab. You think you pulled up the right spot, and then you have a look outside and it's like, nah, you actually haven't. So this is our waypoint. Alright, Clydebank next. Power on. And sometimes too with powering, sometimes you have like a landmark that you power to, sometimes it's the actual speed. Depending on the weather conditions, for instance, you might not actually make that speed, especially if it's a bit slippery getting out in and out of the station. You might not actually make your target speed. But often you've got a point in mind as well. And you definitely don't want to be powering when you're at your braking marker. Come on, woo girl. Woo. Automatic train warning, AWS. Warning us of that signal up ahead which isn't full clear. We can still go, but it's not full clear. So we'll crawl up to the freight carriage mark. Is our external camera at the back. Oh, there's a little toy train on the platform. I think it's supposed to be a flower bed, but it is a little, yeah, it's a flower bed that looks like a little steam engine. That's cool. Okay, so we should get an AWS alert here just to say that we've passed that. No, because we've already done it. I thought I got another one when I actually passed that signal, but the sunflower on in front of me is reminding me that my signal isn't fully clear. So, no use getting excited. The signal is some distance away. But I'm not sure what it is. You know, if it is actually at stop or, again, if it's a caution. So, I'm just going to approach it nice and slow. We are going uphill. Now, I'll get some pre-warning before I actually hit that signal. We've got to pass through one tunnel first, and the signal's just before the start of the second tunnel. So no use getting excited when the signals are restrictive. You slow down. So I'll start to slow down more. Because as yet I don't know the status of that signal. Okay, that chime reminds me that the signal's now at clear. So the little sunflower warning on the right hand side goes out. And I can resume but after this tunnel we have a 40-mile-an-hour speedboard, and then we have the station. So the station should be around the corner. Dalmuir. Alright, 3-car marker down near the end. That's another train to our actually F4. Can we get some more of that building in? There we go. Alrighty. Let's go. Now sometimes when there's a junction like this, sometimes there's a lower speed because it's considered part of a turnout or a junction. But not on this occasion. We've actually got a mile and a bit before our next station, so well, that wasn't a very good view at that particular point. Try again. There we go. It's a different view. Feels like it looks like on that view that looks like it's going really slow, even though it's nearly 50 miles an hour. So we might shut off at this signal. That might have actually been a braking marker for the station. They're not very common. I know on some systems they do have markers or signs saying that the stations are coming up. Some do, some don't. It's more common to show you where the yard is, you know, or the station limits, depending on your terminology. So we're coming into Kilpatrick. To be sure, to be sure. Love the Scottish accent. Now he's getting excited about that ding because we have to stop. Yeah, very hard to judge in Simulator where you are in relation to the car mark, because you think from that view you've got it. You go to that view, and no, you ain't. Bowling next. Got a bit before we can go bowling, so about a mile and a half now. So we'll shut off here. This signal, which doesn't necessarily appear on the map below, might actually be a good breaking point for bowling. Or maybe this bridge might have been better. We're still a fair way out. But at least we've killed a lot of our speed. Still over half a mile away, so my braking may have been premature, but I don't want to go down the gutter of bowling. So speed is picking back up. Okay, bowling will be just around the corner. But in the Scottish accent, it's probably not even said that way anyway. Alright, coming in nicely, going down the centre of the lane. Looking to attack the head pin. And approaching really, really slowly. Stop near this lady here. And we're on the wrong side. Hello. So that's a perfectly fine stop for a free carriage train because you're all the way on the platform, you're close to the stairs. If you're down where they want you to stop, it's actually all the way to the end. It's all the way to the end of the platform. So we'll get back in the cab, we'll turn that back on. Dumbarton East is next, so we're getting close to our final destination. On another episode, we're going to have to do the, there's a diesel train also available with the suburban Glasgow routes that we're going to have a drive of as well at some point. So 55 mile an hour board coming up. Oh, it's 2 miles away. What am I doing? Let's go. Let's go. You can really see that it's in the Scottish countryside now, even though we're not really probably that far from Glasgow. Look at the rolling hills and the mountain and everything like that over there. And the stations tend to be a little bit further away at points such as this. So we'll start to go uphill short and into a 60 mile an hour speed board. We've still got 1.75 miles to go before we need to stop. There's a 40 board just before it. Alright, didn't see the 60 sign, but here we go. This map is really, really, really well done. So this signal's probably not a bad initial point to start braking as a landmark to say, hey, I'm getting close to Dumbarton East. Sometimes I joke that if you use things like a billboard or, you know, a particular building or whatever alongside the track, that if they knock those billboards over, or if they knock the building over, which is your landmark, or there's another one that I know where it's the bright blue building. Now, if someone decides to paint that blue building, say, green, does that mean you've got to change your mindset to say stop at the, like before you were saying stop at the blue building, or put your brakes on at the blue building, now they'll say put your brakes on at the green building, or you know that building that's green that used to be blue? Although, mind you, having said that, once you learn the route, you know where you're braking anyway. But landmarks are so important when you're first learning a route, when you're first driving a route. Landmarks are so important. Even if, you know, sometimes, as I said, sometimes they're braking points, powering points. Sometimes they're just to remind you of a particular location that's coming up. So that's a nice rear of train view. Still plenty of platform to play with. Actually, that's not a bad view either. Let me... Although that view does look better on my monitor with the wider resolution than what I'm actually filming on. Alright, let's go. One stop to go. Now we are on restricted signals. I hope you have enjoyed the episode. I know that, you know, there's not a lot of travel going on right now. And for some people, you know, getting away from the outside world is important. Alright, so we've got a signal coming up. Now, according to my map, there's actually no signals between here and the platform. I have noticed on some maps before that sometimes they don't actually have the signals on the map. Now, of course, in real life, I'd know where the signals are. And in real life, I'm not making a video about a route, and I've only driven it. You know, this is my first time driving. I'm not going to be making a YouTube video about a route that I've just driven for the first time. I do that all the time on Simulator Deck, and that's fine. So we're going on to Dumbarton Central Platform 3. So this is the end of the line. This is the end of the episode. I hope you have enjoyed. Don't forget simulatorgaming.com. I really need to add further episodes to that, but that's a job for future Simulator Deck. Or Future Arc, I should say. Don't forget train videos, Train Sim World, and also Train Simulator. on Thursdays, buses, trucks and trams on Tuesdays, simulatordirtgaming.com, or on the YouTube Simulator Dirk, and there's lots of different playlists there. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Well, that wasn't very good. Hang on. Woo! There we go. There we go. We have arrived at Dumbarton Central on ScotRail in Glasgow. Hope you have enjoyed. I've been Simulator Dirk. You've been wonderful. Don't forget, watch out for trains and stay behind the yellow line. Bye-bye for now. Well done, driver. You have successfully completed the scenario.